Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to a beautiful afternoon here in Seoul. Guys, today I'm going to be flying with Finnair in their brand new premium economy aboard their Airbus A350. It's the first for me and indeed for the channel, so sit back and enjoy what's going to be a really interesting journey just here in beautiful Seoul. Well, winding back firstly to wonderful Helsinki, it was a really decent transfer experience through Helsinki. If you've never done it before and you're considering Finnair, I'd highly recommend it. The airport is really nice and new, full of some really quite nice facilities. I was working on that particular day, so I did use status to check into the lounge, but we'll check out a number of different food and beverage options in just a moment. That was certainly a really nice time in the lounge. Now, whilst lounge access wouldn't be included as part of the premium economy ticket, it was something that was actually pushed by the airline in terms of inclusion. It was something that you could add on as part of the check-in process a couple of days or so before. That said, on this particular occasion, I was fortunate enough to access with status, which is always a nice benefit to have into the business lounge just here. If you're top tier status with One World Alliance, you can even check out the first class lounge, which is absolutely superb just here. Anyway, on my way to the gate just now, we'll check out a few of the food options on the way so I can show you a plethora of what is some really good options here at Helsinki International Airport, and then it'll be time for boarding. On the food and drinks front, there really was something for everyone, whether you fancied something a little bit more fancy, sit down, or perhaps just a quick grab and go. There was a decent number of options and food, as you very much expect from all around the world. This instant pizza vending machine, I guess you could call it, was very new age. I did have a little peer in, didn't use it on that particular day, but it certainly looked interesting for those emergency snacks, perhaps running to the gate. Otherwise, it was then just time down to the gate. Boarding was handled really nicely. They pre-boarded us through into the boarding gate, and it was nice to get that quick view of the aircraft before then getting settled in the boarding lounge. First time in my life, this is me through to the boarding lounge. First, I think this trip has certainly been a trip of first on the first leg of it, which will be a separate video that I'll post. I was the only one checking in at London's Heathrow 2 hours before the flight, so it was really nice to get a bit of quiet time, I guess, for the check-in, particularly at that particular time in the morning. As for here, really looking forward to getting on board. It is their new premium economy, so let's see how this goes. There was an awful lot of excitement on that particular evening heading down onto the aircraft. After all, this is a brand new product and it's not often I get to feature something so new on the channel. Sadly, business class was to the left, so I didn't get to walk through that brand new cabin heading on board, but it wasn't long before I was acquainted with this brand new premium economy, and my God, did it look absolutely awesome. Like other carriers on the Airbus A350, they've gone for a 2-4-2 seating layout. That being said, I'd highly then recommend the seats by the windows for couples or solo travellers. They're frankly just much better. They allow for much easier eye and access, and it's great to be up close to those big windows and have the view out. There are a number of little goodies waiting for passengers at the seat. I promise we'll get into those at various different stages throughout the rest of the video. For now, let's focus in on some of the additional features that the seat came packed with. Starting off firstly with this reading light. This was nicely tucked away towards the top of the seat. You could then toggle this across a variety of 3 different brightness settings. As you'd expect from such a modern seat design, there was a fully adjustable headrest. This didn't only look really nice in terms of the seat design, but was also very comfortable indeed. I was in a bulkhead seat, so I had the screens at the front. We'll get into the entertainment, I promise, a little bit later on. Just down to the side were then the seat controls, as you'd expect, and then a real plethora of different charging options, including an international power adapter plug socket and also a USB connector. Just down to the side also is where you had the controls for the entertainment screen. I have to say, having flown premium economy with a number of carriers, this has to be the most comfortable seat I've ever sat in. It really was absolutely fantastic. In terms of those additional creature comforts, sadly, no overhead air vents. I know that some of my viewers are really into those. That said, there was then a fully extendable leg rest from the seat, which did allow you to get into a bit of a Z bed style of sleeping, which I'm a huge fan of, particularly in premium economy. The flight departed nicely on time, and in no time at all we were pushing back and heading for that departure runway. Guys, whilst we do so, quick time for me to plug the channel. I've got so much content across the channel from many of the One World carriers and so many other airlines. So if this sort of content is your thing, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and it would be great to welcome you to another video real soon. I have to say, the Airbus A350 is quickly becoming my favourite aircraft in production. I was a huge fan of the 747, particularly the 400 series, but with the departure of that one, I would say the A350 is probably the best looking aircraft currently in production. I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to what you think is the best aircraft and what you enjoy travelling the most on. That all being said, we're now coming to the departure point. It was a really enjoyable takeoff on that particular day, so I'm going to turn the music down very slightly so you can enjoy our departure from Helsinki as we finally take to the skies. Thus taken to the skies, it was time to sit back, relax and get settled in for what was going to be quite a long flight ahead. First things first, let's look at some of those little elements that were left on the seat as we encountered it just a moment ago. First up, the neck pillow. This was completely first on me. I'd never seen this in premium economy, let alone another cabin. Twinned with the blanket, it was quite a unique offering and worked pretty nicely indeed. Just exploring the cabin a little bit more. First up, with the toilets. This was actually one of the really big benefits of this particular layout in that you actually had toilet facilities slightly front of premium economy, so didn't share toilets with economy, as is the case with so many other carriers. The toilets themselves, as you'll see from this video, certainly weren't palatial in any given way, but actually twinned quite nicely and with that little bit higher end than something that you'd expect from economy. Were always wonderfully clean throughout the flight and were always completely available, so top marks to Finnair on that front, that's for sure. Heading back to the seat, the sun was just starting to set and we were having a few lumps and bumps on the turbulence front. It was to be the only turbulence that was felt on the 13 or so hour journey. It was wonderfully smooth sailing through the vast majority of it. On the service front, kicking things off right from the very start was a hot towel. This was a nice little service, very gratefully received. Just before the main service, which was to be an evening meal on that evening, let's kick things off with a quick look at the entertainment front. Being a brand new aircraft, expectations sky high just here, and it definitely delivered. On the headphone front, this is akin to what I assume they were probably given out in business class. Either way, top marks on this front, really high quality, felt great and sounded great as well. On the actual entertainment screens itself, I had a bulkhead seat. It was a nice big screen ahead. The other seats looked absolutely wonderful on that front. Also, really modern entertainment screen and packed full of some really decent content. So overall, from an entertainment point of view, yeah, did pretty well just here. That said, it may well be time for a last-minute steward's inquiry on the entertainment front, as I do usually roll Wi-Fi into the holistic entertainment review. On this particular flight, sadly, due to a technical issue which ensued for the whole journey, Wi-Fi wasn't available at all. It was unavailable for the entire flight. Thankfully, I did travel on an A350 a little bit later in the trip with Finnair, so I was able to capture those Wi-Fi prices for you, which I assume would be consistent across the board. Now, in terms of a Wi-Fi front, they don't have any free messaging service, as you do see across carriers like Emirates or indeed Qatar Airways, so a little bit expensive, but I did like the unlimited nature. So in terms of the Wi-Fi, yeah, a pretty decent offering, but on this particular flight, a real letdown for sure. At this point, we'd already taken a quick look at the tray table, which, like the rest of the hard product offering, was absolutely superb. Good moment now to check in on the amenity kit. It was a small amenity kit with just a couple of basic items in there, such as an eye mask and also a toothbrush. Don't see too many amenity kits right the way across the board these days, so nice to get something, I guess. Next up, let's take a look at the food and beverage service. This was kicked off firstly with a small drink service that came around. I opted for the gin and tonic. There was also then a bag of nuts that was served. The gin was the Finnish Cairo gin, and I have to say it was really very good indeed. It was nice also to have a proper tonic water with it. I'm a big fan of the Fever Tree. That said, everything was served in plastic cupware. Some other airlines such as Emirates are going for glassware now in premium economy, so it's little things like that that can make a bit more of a difference. As the main meals then came around, there was a couple of different choices available. I opted for the chicken, and overall it was okay, but really by premium economy standards, as you'll see with the food on the tray, the tiny little starter, the dessert being really just a chocolate bar, as nice as it was it wasn't particularly brilliant. If you contrast this to other airlines within their premium economy, the likes of Emirates or even British Airways, Finnair really are quite a long way behind. There was a wine service that came around. The wine actually was decent. It was a Finnair own label wine, but again, just in a plastic cup. It did just feel like an ever so slightly nicer economy meal as opposed to something truly premium. As night then set in, it was a quick trip up to the snack selection and otherwise bedding down for the evening. As morning broke, we were treated to the most gorgeous sunset over Far East Asia as we headed up towards South Korea. On that particular day, the A350 really was looking its absolute best. Those wingtips, particularly in the Finnair colours, do look very good indeed. That said, whilst the view out the window was very pretty, breakfast sadly wasn't. There was an omelette served for breakfast. This was straight off the economy menu, and sadly some of the disappointments from the night before on the food and beverage front continued into the breakfast. It was just about okay, but frankly for a premium economy product it's a long way behind a number of airlines, sadly, on the food and beverage front. So with us now well into our descent into Seoul, what were my final thoughts on Finnair? Well, to be honest, it was really a game of two halves. The hard product was absolutely superb, as was the service here. The brand new aircraft with the brand new cabin really did look absolutely fantastic. That said, they're so often let down by their soft product. If they would only enhance significantly their food and beverage option, I actually think this will be one of the strongest premium economy products in the world. If you're thinking of booking premium economy for an upcoming trip and would like to check out some of Finnair's key competitors across the One World Alliance and elsewhere, my most recent review of the British Airways premium economy product is available just now in the bottom left hand side. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching the video. As ever, I hope it was useful and very much looking forward to welcoming you to another one real soon.